again, welcome back to Inde-Car on May the 3rd. Now, the significance of tomorrow's date may be lost on some of you, but for those of you old enough to remember, and I class myself as one of those, when the Star Wars movies first came out, one of the catchphrases was, "May the Force be with you." And that has translated over the years to May the 4th, which is celebrated across the globe by Star Wars fans as Star Wars Day. But it has a significance, of course, for us as well tomorrow, because tomorrow marks the first of the All Under One banner marches for independence. I believe it's starting at 11 o'clock from Kelvin Way and processing. Actually, I'm not sure where it's processing to. It's either going to be George Square or Glasgow Green. That's where traditionally they tend to finish up. Usually Glasgow Green is large enough for such a big crowd. The reason I'm mentioning this today is that because of the stramash that we've been subjected to on British media recently with regards to the difficulties that the SNP has found themselves in, I think it's important for us to take some time now to consider ourselves what our new policy should be, and as a movement, how we deal with this current, I think you could call this a sort of pregnant pause now. There's been an awful lot of debate about whether John Swinney or Kate Forbes should be the leader of the SNP. I think at the moment it doesn't really matter too much who it is, as long as there's somebody at the helm. The SNP realised very quickly that the British media was dictating what was going on within the SNP and attempting to prolong the entire agonising process of choosing a leader, in order, I suspect, and I think you probably agree with me, to continue the confusion among the Scottish electorate about exactly what was happening with the SNP and how Scotland is going to be governed for the next couple of years. So I think, despite the fact that we all saw this coming, I think I predicted a few days ago that John Swinney would end up being a kind of a caretaker leader for the SNP and the new First Minister. That has actually come to pass. And the SNP has very neatly body swerved the whole issue of the bruising leadership campaign being conducted in the full glare of the unionist media for possibly weeks on end by simply having a coronation. And by John Swinney having private conversations with Kate Forbes. And you'll notice from John Swinney's recent speech when he announced his candidacy that he poured praise on Kate Forbes and her qualities and promised her quite publicly a prominent position in his new administration. I think it was kind of obvious the way this was going to go, that John Swinney and the senior figures in the SNP had decided to short-circuit this entire media circus by simply appointing John Swinney as the leader and giving Kate Forbes a prominent position in that new cabinet. So that's what's happening. And I suspect, looking at this from a pragmatic point of view, that's probably the best that the SNP could have done in this current situation. They need a period of calm. One of the biggest problems the SNP's faced in recent years has been their declining support caused by mainly green policies which they've been forced to back in government despite the huge backlash from the rest of the population with regards to all kinds of different green policies, including things like preventing some inshore fishing, the ban on certain types of wood stoves in certain circumstances, and all kinds of other things that people find irritating or unnecessary. So there needs to be a period where the SNP can re-establish its credentials as a competent Scottish government. One of the many accomplishments of the SNP in the past had been to prove that Scotland could have a perfectly competent government of its own, giving people the confidence to vote for independence, knowing that Scotland could manage its own affairs and could elect a government quite capable of running the country. That's taken a major dent recently with all that's been going on. And of course we know that the reason for this is that the entire devolved system in Scotland was designed to make it as difficult as possible for any pro-independence party to gain an outright majority and to have a comfortable majority to run the country. And that has obviously worked because the SNP was forced into an alliance with the Greens. That has damaged their popularity, and now they're facing two general elections. First of all, a UK general election sometime this year, and then a general election in Holyrood. And on both occasions, they don't want to go into that having lost votes due to their previous association with the Greens. Now, John Swinney is also regarded as being a moderate, I think it's safe to say, and it's more likely that he will bring the Greens back in, not to government exactly, but at least back into a more friendly relationship with the SNP minority administration for the remaining 2 years. And that should at least calm all of the currently hurt feelings in the Greens co-leadership. So we as a movement are now faced with a period where the Scottish Government is going to have to re-establish control and re-establish its credibility as a governing party. While it's doing that, what is it we're supposed to do? Well, this is where the significance of May the 4th comes in, because tomorrow, as I've said, is the day that the first big All Under One Banner march is being held in Glasgow. This will be the first of many big marches and big rallies being organised by this organisation. Now, one of the things I like and prefer about All Under One Banner as opposed to Believe in Scotland is that it's not based on business. Business for Scotland was begun, I suspect, just to show that the business community could get behind independence. But it's not that popular amongst the entire movement, and we saw that in the moderately successful numbers going on that first march recently. But All Under One Banner is everybody, and the whole point of All Under One Banner is it is all under a single banner. Every pro-independence organisation and group and hub and individual would feel at home marching tomorrow, and that is the point of All Under One Banner. And this is why I mention May the 4th, because May the Force be with you was the catchphrase for the Rebel Alliance in Star Wars, and they were fighting against an evil empire. And we find ourselves in a similar analogous situation. We are the small rebellious group who are trying to re-establish control from a massive empire which is currently running things for its own benefit. So there is a strong correlation between with the movie and what we're trying to do tomorrow. I suspect that the best thing that all of us can do now, and bearing in mind my recent comments about what happened to my Facebook page, which has largely been shut down by United Kingdom Facebook under Nick Clegg, who's now the supreme emperor of that organisation, and has shut down virtually all pro-independence political blogging on that platform, that we're left with very few social mediums in which we can actually campaign. So that's the reason why I record these current Inde-Car shows offline and then post links to them on multiple different platforms. But our role as individuals, as members of the public, as voters in Scotland, is to get out on the streets and demonstrate, because we have been left with no other options by the United Kingdom, and its control over social media has started to exert itself, first of all, in Facebook. It may well spread to other platforms in the coming months as the United Kingdom seeks to shut down all talk of independence. They already think that independence has been killed off, and they are pushing a narrative at the moment that Scottish independence has been set back at least a decade. Now, whether that's true or not is irrelevant. The point is that we have to keep independence in the public eye. And when television and mainstream media and newspapers and now possibly even some social media are preventing that news getting out, the best way to be seen to be doing something is to actually be seen doing something. And that means marching. That means getting out on the streets in our tens or hundreds of thousands over the coming months, because that is what our role is in this campaign now. When media are shut down and we have no access to that kind of platform to make statements or to provide programming like this, then the only other option is to get out there and be seen by other members of the public, to show them the strength of support that there is and to encourage them to join it. and not to be afraid of any threats or insinuations being made by the British state, for example. So we are where we are, as the saying goes, but we're also in a strong position. Support for independence has never been stronger, despite the slight dip in support for the SNP. I believe that when it comes to the two general elections, that the actual vote for the SNP in response to all of these attacks will probably be better than it was before. And as far as I'm concerned, despite my frequent criticisms of the SNP and the way it goes about things, it is still the party of independence. And if we keep supporting it, whether or not we believe that it can get us independence, it's a demonstration of our intentions to become independent. But more importantly, getting out and demonstrating physically and actually putting ourselves out there on the street in full view with our flags, our kilts, and whatever other things you want to take with you is the biggest contribution all of us can make to the cause right now. And until such time as the legalities of self-determination are established with the United Nations, and I believe all of that work is going on as we speak with various organisations who are at the moment contacting these international bodies such as the UN and the Council of Europe and the European Union. Once that's established and Scotland has got a route to demand self-determination out with the UK, eventually we will get our vote and we will free the country. But in the meantime, we have to be highly visible and we have to keep this entire cause in the public eye all the time, despite being shut down on social media by the United Kingdom. So, as I always say in these programs, we have to keep the faith, because if we lose faith in what we're doing, it will never happen. You know that old phrase about winners never quit and quitters never win? Well, that's us, really. We can't quit. We're on this journey, and if we want to see it to the end, we have to stay on it. And the best way to do that is to get out and demonstrate tomorrow in the All Under One Banner March. Go and look on social media for the details of where to meet and the time of the march. They will be there on social media at the moment. There are posts all over every platform at the moment, and you can find out all about it by doing that. Anyway, that's it from Inde-Car for the moment. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the march tomorrow. Let's get not just 10,000 people out there tomorrow. Let's get over 100,000 people from all over Scotland. Get them to march through Glasgow. Everybody, bring your friends, bring your family, bring your pets, bring your granny. Even if you have to wheel yourself along the road in a wheelchair, please do so, because this is what campaigning to free your country from exploitation is all about. It's the only way we can do it. The SNP has its own problems politically. They'll sort them out by themselves. Our job now is to keep that flame burning. I'll see you all soon. Bye bye from now.